Who keeps you accountable as a founder?
Bill, my CFO. Well, the whole team, I guess, kind of keep us all in check.
Are you scared of Bill?
He's quite an intimidating character, I have to say, but in a good way. He keeps a check on everything that's going on in the business, how we're spending our money, how we're investing money. But I think it's really important to have someone in the business early on in the business's life cycle as well, who's got a sharp eye for your finances and making sure that everything.
Because I'm personally quite bad at that. So who keeps me accountable? Maybe this is quite a weak answer, but like the entire team.
Yeah. That's a good answer. Can I change my answer to the entire team? What sold your business to investors? The vision, the business plan, or something else?
I think you can't have one without the other, and I guess it's all about like the different stages of the narrative. So first thing that needs to be in place before you can get to anything else is the fact that I guess once you've been going for a couple of years, you've kind of got that traction and those numbers there, and you're like, well, look, I've shown that we've got this kind of, we're doing this kind of stuff and the revenue's growing in this way, and then you go, okay, check, like there's a bit of validation there. And the next step, you have to go in and be like, well, okay, we're doing this today, and if we kind of keep rinsing and repeating, and if we optimize these things, then we can go in this direction, that's great. And that kind of takes you to the next level. Yeah. But I think in order to get to that point where it's like, well, people are actually excited about this, then that's entirely about the story. Yeah. And you can't hang that on the metrics. That's like, what is this going to be in years to come? And it's just all about the storytelling at that point.
I completely agree. I think it's the vision and the purpose behind the business, why you started, why you get up in the morning, what difference you're going to make, how you're going to leave your mark on the world. That vision, I think, is really, really important. Not just to inspire investors, but to inspire your customers and to inspire your team. But absolutely, you need to be able to back up that vision with a really, really sound business plan of how you're going to execute it.
What did you put in place to help you stay on budget?
So I think this is similar to my previous answer, but the best investment you can make as a business is to hire a really, really good CFO, a finance person to be able to keep a sharp eye on where you're spending your money.
Totally.
And we use like accounting packages like Xero as well.
Sure.
But I think, if I think back to 10 years ago when we started Crowdcube, the amount of technology and software that's now available to help start-up early-stage businesses to be able to manage the financial side of the business is astonishing, really.
I sometimes think I don't know how people used to do it.
No. Probably faking it, I reckon.
Faking it, but
I guess the benefit to the founder, to the entrepreneur, is that you've got more of your time that you can dedicate on actually what you're really passionate about. Building the business, growing the business, innovating, improving what you're doing, getting out and talking to people about it, rather than worrying about kind of running
the admin in the background,
from an administrative point of view. Yeah,
totally.
How has becoming a founder changed how you think about money?
It's interesting because I worry significantly less about my own personal finances than I do the company's finances. I guess because, I can decide whether I do or don't want an extra coffee in the morning, but you suddenly create this engine that is spending, also making, but just spending money. Yeah. And actually how you have control on that is really, really hard. Like I can make personal decisions about whether I want to go and buy this thing for myself. But when you create this engine that has to just spend to survive, do you know how do you control that engine?
There was a point at Crowdcube, and it dawned on me at that point that all of a sudden we've got a team of 20, I can't remember, 20 or 30 people, and they've all got families and they've all got mortgages and they've all got bills, and they're relying on me and Darren, my co-founder, and the company to be successful and to keep growing.
What have you overspent and underspent on?
I guess in the early days we maybe over-invested in going international too soon.
Did you?
Yeah. So we were the first when we
For
launched
sure.
in 2011. No one else was doing it.
Created the market.
And we created the market, and we were somewhat nervous that everyone else was going to start copying us around Europe. So we quickly started setting up joint ventures around Europe, and in truth, we went way too early. Like the UK market hadn't really established, and what we were doing hadn't become mainstream. We hadn't worked out how to do it efficiently and effectively. We haven't worked out the unit economics of it. And so in hindsight, I think we probably should have delayed that until we were in a much sounder position.
It's interesting because, we're probably at a similar decision-making stage at the moment ourselves.
Yeah.
The challenge there is you're like, well, this is great. How can we kind of get the message out to more and more people?
Yeah.
And I guess, you start a business like this because you have expansive ideas. You don't want to just create.
And you're ambitious, right?
You're ambitious, yeah. So you're like, well, if it's going to be this one day, then I might as well just crack on and do it.
Yeah.
And then it's weighing that up against, well, actually, are we being as efficient as we can, and are our unit economics on point?
I think you always have got to look at, is there still room to grow in your domestic market in the UK? If there's still a massive opportunity for you to go after there, then to some degree, I suspect it's a lot easier for you to execute on that plan than it is to execute
for sure
in France or Germany.
But then it's that as you said, you were driven by the fear that other people were going to copy the idea and get there first.
Yeah,
absolutely. That's the fear. It's like, well, we've got a great idea, we've got a great team. We want to spread that.
Yeah.
We don't want other people to do it before us.
Also, you don't want to risk and jeopardise
sure.
what you've built in the UK.
Did you ever have to pull back from anywhere?
There's loads of countries. So we did have a joint venture in Sweden, in Poland. I think we had one in New Zealand.
What was that like? The decision-making process to?
It was pretty. I mean, it was tough, but it was pretty clear cut. It was pretty straightforward. It wasn't working out. We weren't managing to get any traction there. It was becoming a distraction. There was a huge amount of growth still in the UK, so for us it was fairly straightforward. What surprised you about the fundraising process?
So we've just come out the back of our Series A. So raised a £5 million round from kind of institutional investors. But what was surprising, everyone says it takes a long time. It took such a long time. And there were so many kind of speed bumps and hurdles. There's a good bit where, due diligence process and, the data room and all this information sharing.
I know all of that.
And there was one spreadsheet that was like the core thing, which was our shift volume. So our North Star metric is how many shifts our nurses and carers doing per week. Ended up sending this spreadsheet was double the volume that we said that we were actually doing.
Yeah.
And they kept coming back and saying, we just can't make these numbers add up. It's just not matching to your financials here. And I was like, don't be silly, it's absolutely fine. This went on for weeks. And then eventually I decided I'll look again at the spreadsheet, and I was like, oh my God. I've just doubled the size of the business.
Everything.
They were very good about it, actually. But I was like, you'd be every right to pull out of this transaction at this point. The challenge is when you're, you're focused on, growing the business and winning customers and building a product, you don't necessarily have your house in order at that first institutional round. We didn't have, a great head of finance at that point. Actually, she came in the process, so that was very helpful. But you don't necessarily have your house in order. So to bring all those things together was challenging.
It can. I can remember going through it as well, actually, and it's that first significant institutional round. You just need to the governance of your business changes. You need to kind of grow up a little bit in terms of your business intelligence, how you're presenting information.
Absolutely.
Get all of those documents.
Your processes.
All of those documents that you are just sort of dotted around in various kind of on people's laptops and drives. You need to centralise everything into a data warehouse. But it's a good discipline to go through because that will stand you in good stead. Because there's a balance and a tension when you get investment of any kind, that you're getting that investment, equity investment, to invest in the business, to invest in your people, your product, your brand. So there is that tension between, we need to invest to grow, but also like this money does run out at some point, so you
Totally.
need to have a real good kind of eye on your kind of cash burn and how many months
Totally.
or years you've got left before you run out of money.
And are you spending on the right things? You know, are you getting are you getting a good ROI on what you're doing?
How do you motivate yourself when things aren't going to plan?
We have, you know, on the screen in the office, we have our kind of dashboard with the you know, North Star metric, number of filled shifts per week, and then kind of the cascaded layer below that, which when it's all going well, you know, whoops and hollers around the office and the energy is absolutely great. But the problem is if you have this week by week reminder of your performance, if it's not quite where you want it to be, it's like
Very
there, it's the devil on your back, it's the monkey on your back. And I'd be lying if I said it doesn't affect me as well. So how do we cope with it? Well, you know, I think it's about having a plan and executing on the plan. So you go, look guys, you know, we know from previous learnings and from what we're doing that if we do these activities to this level, it leads to these outcomes. And, you know, whilst it might miss it like this or whatever, you know, you've just got to do the activity and you trust the process.
Well, and I think to the point that we were making earlier as well about having a bigger goal, having a deeper sense of why Florence exists or why Crowdcube exists and the difference you're going to make, and there's a vision for the future that you can galvanise people behind and remind yourself that actually we are doing something really meaningful here. We want to make a difference. Let's redouble our efforts. Let's think about what we've done, what has worked, what hasn't worked. How can we improve going forward? Are we all trying hard enough? Are we rewriting that email? Are we rewriting that blog content? Are we hiring the right people? So getting everyone galvanised behind that common goal is really, really important.
I've been lucky because I was a doctor before I started this, and you know, there's a pretty strong mission statement there as well. You know, you go into work and kind of, you know, there are lots of inefficiencies and challenges, but you know, everyone knows what, you know, everyone has a reason for why they're there. So that's very, very obvious, very clear mission statement. Florence, you know, I think everyone, to a man in the company actually, is very driven by what we're doing. They're all very, very compassionate. They truly believe in what we're doing.
And like I think people get slightly confused with purpose sometimes, and like purpose can be this big an impact, and you're making this difference, or you can be making this difference. Like you can have a purpose. It doesn't always need to be kind of solving
world-changing.
World-changing. I think you can have a deep sense of purpose around the business, but have a real passion for what you do and feel like whatever you are doing is making a difference in some way, shape or form. And I agree with you. And I kind of feel like this next generation of entrepreneurs that are emerging, of which I think you probably are in that category, I think are starting businesses first and foremost thinking, why do I exist? Why do I want to do this? And realizing, as Simon Sinek kind of put it in one of his famous TED Talks, that it's not what you do that matters, it's why you do it that's really, really important.